Okay, good afternoon, everyone. For people on Zoom, is my voice okay? Can you hear me okay? Any thumbs up? Can you hear me okay? That's good. All right. My name is Mina Abadir. I will be your instructor for this new module. This new module, it's a very special module. So you get two instructors. So you're stuck with me for two classes, and Phoebe Wasfi will be doing the other two. So this module is management and leadership. So the first question to you, anyone is a leader in their work, school, anywhere? Any leaders anywhere? Anyone doing any leadership? No? So why do you think you get a class for leadership if nobody is a leader here? Do you think you'll be a leader once you graduate from YMCP? Maybe. Not sure. I think all of us should be leaders once we graduate from YMCP. And to know why this is the case, let's first think what is the definition of a leader. So leadership is going to be Phoebe's like part in the module. So you have two books. The first is management, which I'm taking care of, and Phoebe is doing the leadership. But before we do that, we need to define what a leader is. Any ideas, people online? So a leader is a person who has influence over group of people, over anything. And if we are going to minister or serve youth, so we should have influence over them, or we have influence over them. Automatically, we would have influence over them. So this is the whole point. It's a person who has influence over others. So this is why if we are to graduate from YMCP and serve youth, we will have influence over them. So this is why we care about those two members. But let me ask a question. Why is like leadership? Okay, so we become leaders, but what about management? What's the point of management? Any idea? Why we teach management and leadership? Basically, management is some traits that any leaders need. So we will go through today, and next time we'll go over 8 of them. Time management, financial management, planning, and today we're gonna like 4 of them. The last one is delegation, and next week we'll cover the other 4. When we think, if I'm asking you, if you are to think of a world-class leader, who would you think? Who would come to your mind? If I'm asking you who is a world-class leader, you can think of that you think has influence over people and help them, who would come to your mind?
Like the Pope.
The Pope?
President, Prime Minister.
Okay, nice. Nice. So the Pope, Prime Minister, President over the country. Yeah, that makes sense. Who else? Any specific names that come to your mind? Like someone who think that was a very good leader.
John F. Kennedy.
Sorry, good?
John F. Kennedy.
Okay, yeah, Kennedy. Yeah, that's a very powerful leader. Actually, in our church, we had, I would say the world class leader. Our Lord Jesus Christ was a world class leader. Why?
We're not giving that answer.
Yeah, sorry.
I feel stupid for not giving that answer.
No, you're good, you're good. It's actually, you answered very good, yeah. But our Lord Jesus Christ, he was a world class leader. Time and planning, in 3 years, he changed the whole world. Do you know anyone who can do that now? I don't think so, but he did. Finances, he cared about financial management, like, they had donation box and we had all this stuff, so that's one thing. Delegation, he managed to delegate, he had like 3 of his disciples, was his like 3 inner circle, and then we had 12 and 70, so he was very good with delegation. And when he wanted to get into Jerusalem, he asked some of his disciples, yeah, go and get the donkey. So delegation, he didn't do anything on his own. When he started his ministry, he sent them out. Like, this is the whole thing about delegation. We keep this in mind. We're going to talk about it today. Role and responsibilities, like he has 12. Those 12, they have role, 70, and even the church afterwards, they had deacons to help with some other new responsibilities that came into picture. Motivation, we see plenty of motivation everywhere. We can see that in miracles, how he motivated those people around him when they were down. Decision making, he was very good with decision making. Like when Lazarus was very sick, he decided not to go to him right away. But when he died, he went. Like this whole decision making process of when to do what, how is the whole thing. We're going to talk about this, but next week. Conflict resolution. You can see that between the 12, who is the greatest? This was a conflict, and he helped resolve this conflict with the Jews. Like, show us a miracle. All these things like conflict resolution, change management. We talked about this in 3 years. He changed the whole world. This is the world-class change management. We should teach this in schools. Also, change management. Again, it's a topic for next week, but the whole idea of how to prepare people for change. And this is what he did with his disciples. We need to think about that. How to prepare people. You're going to graduate from junior high to high school, how we are preparing them for this change. Or, they are going to university and they are probably abroad. Are we preparing our youth for this change or not? This is the change management. Discipline. I think it's pretty clear. Jesus was very disciplined, and he wanted his disciples and everyone around him to be disciplined. Also, the church afterwards, like they continued to hold the same mentality of very strong management and leadership, and we can see this how the church right after his ascension, like immediately there was like a head of church was like the Pope in the thing, and we see that how they sent like ministry to all the world, like Paul and Barnabas and everything. All right, so we see that the church has always heard about leadership and management. It's not something new, and we have to keep this in mind as we are going through this course. And next, let's keep why we're teaching those topics. They seem very like businessy, but it's not. Actually, business learned that from the church, not the other way around. But yeah. So as I just said, we will cover 4 traits or 4 management skills today, and another 4 tomorrow. Next week. And leadership will be covered for the next meeting. So today we're just going to start with time management. So when I say time management, what comes to your mind?
Organizing your time, like
Okay.
properly for job, task, life.
Very good. Organizing your time. And I like what you just said and everything. You said job, life. So we have also different roles in life. Sometimes we are leaders in work, we are servants, we are So those different roles, like maybe I'm working, but in the church I'm a leader, but in school I'm still studying. So those roles and responsibilities in our lives each have different needs, and they add different pressure on us, and we have to manage our time differently. So this is why the question is, why time management? Here is Ephesians 5:15 and 16. See then that you walk carefully, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. When St. Paul mentioned redeeming the time, it's do you know what redeeming the time means? So how to make effective use of time. So it's in the Bible. Like time management is in the Bible. It's something that we should care about. So why is time management important? Again, time is a very finite resource. It's something that unfortunately scientists, everyone, nobody was able to make more of it. Like we have a very finite amount of time in our lives, and we have to make best use of it. And this is why when we think about time management, we think about, okay, this is the most precious resource I have. It's not money, it's not anything else, it's time. And giving time to the things I care about is the most precious thing I have to do, and I have to be protective to my time. Without time management, literally everything will be so hard and impossible. It will be hard to serve, because imagine, like I was talking like minutes ago about different roles and responsibilities. You have school, you have work, you have you're a parent, or you are part of a family. Like all these things are like they pull you from different directions, and you have to make the best work for all of them. Like you have to give your best self for everything of those. And this is why time management is very important. Like I have a deliverable in school, or I have a deliverable, a project that I have to deliver for work. And at the same time, there is a retreat for my youth that I have to prepare for. All these things are pulling you in different directions. It's how you can manage your time so you can give your best self for all these things. This is what we are going to focus on today, like how to manage your time to be able to do all of these things. And I think someone who was very good with this was St. Paul, for example. This is why he was talking about time, because he was able to, like, I think also in 3 years or something like that, like go through the whole world, right? Preach the word. And he was able to, he had like different churches in different countries apart, and he was able to take care of all of them. This is what we should keep in mind. Like, how can we take care of our job? The church is not telling you, hey, leave your job. No, you have to do a good job in your job, and you have to do a good job in your service, in your ministry. This is the thing here. Okay. So before we talk about time management, let's think, okay, what are the things that cause us like to have like poor time management? Poor planning, what does that mean? It's so hard to do planning on time management if we're not sure what we are doing, right? So the first thing, whenever I'm doing time management, whenever I'm planning for a retreat or a project in my work, is to understand, okay, what's actually the deliverable, like what am I supposed to do at the end, right? Because otherwise it's so hard to set purpose, set goals, and set tasks for this project or this job. So unclear purpose or priorities, and this is something that happens all the time in service. We are not sure what we are supposed to do. We go to the service every week, Friday, Sunday, whenever the time is, And we go to spend a few hours with the kids, and then we go home, and that's it. And we're not sure why we were there. Why did we spend 2 hours of our time with some youth, some kids, and then we go home? Why are we doing it? And unfortunately, when we personally don't have an answer, this is where the devil will come in and say, oh, you're wasting your time, or the service is wasting your time. They don't have purpose. And this is the problem. I think it's very important to at least have some simple purpose in your life. Like, why do you go every week, spend a couple of hours with some people you don't know why you're doing that? And something as simple as love, and that you want to grow them in God's life is enough. You have to keep in mind why you go to the service every week. And if you are able to do that, this is a good purpose. This is good enough. Things will come. Things will follow afterwards. You will have like better understanding of the purpose afterwards. But start from here. Start with something simple, because if you go every week with the mentality or with the mindset of, I love these people, I love those kids, and I'm going to spend some time with them, and I love them because Jesus loved them first, I think this is good enough. This is where we start. Sure. Okay. For planning, next is overcommitment. What is overcommitment? When I say overcommitment, what comes to your mind? Please, yes.
Like you struggle to say no, so you say yes to
Yes.
everything and then.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Say yes to everything. And this is a thin line that we walk every day. How to say yes to anything that is asked, you're asked for, but at the same time, how to be protective of your time and not just say yes for everything. Like, what is this thin line when you just say, okay, this is when I have to say no. This is when I have to pull back. And unfortunately, it's hard. I'm not gonna give you an answer to this. Nobody can, because it's very circumstance based, and it's very hard. It all depends on what you care about. So I think for something like this, in the context of the church, I think your father of confession is the best one you can talk to. Like, say, hey, I'm being asked to do 1, 2, 3, or 4. I don't think I can do 4, but I can just do 3. Which ones I should choose? And he can help you with this. But the other thing is, what are the things that you can add value to is important. Like, if you're asked to do something that you know that you can't do, maybe talk to your leader and say, okay, this is not something I can do. How about I focus on this? So these are the things. But the problem with overcommitment is, again, I have work, and I have a retreat to prepare for, and I have a Sunday school class I have to prepare for, and I have this, and that, and there are too many things that I have to prepare for. However, sometimes overcommitment is not actually overcommitment, it's poor planning. It's you have 10 things you have to deliver in a short amount of time, but actually you knew about them a month ahead. So it's poor planning from the start. It's not overcommitment. It's your poor planning not to say, okay, I have a month, I have 10 things that I have to deliver, then every 3 days, I'm making things up, like every 3 days I have to finish something. So keep in mind, because again, the devil will come in and say, oh, are you the only one in this service or what? Like, don't they have another 20 servants? Why they are asking you only to do all these things? But it's a problem of we are not planning ahead enough. So poor planning is different from overcommitment. And sometimes we have this, unfortunately, like they mix together sometimes. The third one Procrastination. Who knows what procrastination is? Who's a master procrastinator? Very good. Good. Procrastination, the definition in Arabic is tasweef, low, is this. Still have time to plan. Tomorrow, we still have time to plan. We still have time to plan. It's tomorrow. Don't have time to plan. This is procrastination. And more or less, we are all enemies of procrastination. Sorry, praise of procrastination. Happens to us all the time. Happens to us in our spiritual life. Happens to us in our ministry, in our service, in our work. And unfortunately, the devil has something good, like, because the church, they don't have power over me, they can fire me, right? So it's okay to procrastinate. It's okay to not deliver. But keep in mind that anything you're doing to your ministry or service, you're doing this to God. It's as we teach our kids, it's the treasure in heaven kind of thing. So yes, nobody has power over you, but this is where our true selves would come in. And like, this is when our beliefs would play a role. Like, which one is important, my job or my ministry? Both are important. All comes down to good planning. All right. Any questions? Simple things so far, right? Okay. Let's play a game now. You have 2 years only for youth ministry. How would you arrange your priorities? Take a few minutes, write down something, working groups, 2 each, whatever. We have 3, 2, and 2, 9 here. Spend a few minutes. You have 2 years only to serve youth ministry abroad, let's say. You're going to Ireland. There are some youths there studying for medicine. You're going to do something for them. Set your priorities. Work together, and you have 5 minutes. People online, the same. 5 minutes. You can work together. You can work separate. All right. So we have 3 groups here, and we have people online. People online, please, if you have anything prepared, start to send them over chat. If you prefer to also like share yourself, feel free. We're gonna give you a chance. We're starting with group 1 here. Yeah.
Okay, so before real life, the first plan was to book the ticket and find accommodations, like space to live, space for service, space for everything.
Right.
And then the first month of the service was gonna be dedicated to getting to know the kids.
Yes.
Who are they, where are they, what program are they in, all the information. But it wouldn't be like lessons or anything, it would just be youth group, study sessions, hangouts, working fun. And then we said, once a month, like after that, we would try to do outreach. And
Okay.
delegate that to hopefully other servants that are also from abroad, like not just everyone on one person.
Okay.
And then from the second month onward, we would start posting like weekend liturgies or on campus liturgies. But it's like once a week, or basically for the schedulers. And then when real life hit, and you have to work 10 hours a day, we said, okay, now we need to figure out like a good time to do that. So if the job is like from 8 AM to like 6 PM or whatever, then we would go from like 9:30 or 9 to 11,
Okay.
and then like kind of organize it around that. And then we talked about focusing on not bringing whatever it is that we did in the day, whatever work was, to this youth session.
Okay.
So we're doing
Very nice. Yeah, very nice. So if you wanna put those in points, so a place to live, place for service, knowing the kids, and
like it's time to do it, activities,
activities
outreach.
and outreach. Okay, that's very good list. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah. Second group.
So for us, I won't kind of repeat the same thing that they had mentioned, but.
But you didn't. It's not the same person.
It was
No.
it's a lot of similar things, but what we wanted to say is like, once you kind of have your priorities, or you know, you have work, you have service, kind of set kind of like a weekly agenda of the things that you need to do. So if you know that like, I work this time, then also in that same agenda, instead of saying like, when I'm done my work, I'll focus on service, we also need to block off time for service in that like weekly plan.
Very nice.
So that way you kind of set the priority, and if something else comes in that same time, you can let them know, no, this is my service time.
Okay. Good.
And then we said, rather than also only blocking off the time for like when you actually have the service, you can have another time in the week where you can do all the things related to that service. So whether if you want to read like a service meeting, you know that this is the time to do it. So you're going to outreach one of the youth, I know this is the time as well. And then in terms of the things that we wanted to do in the service, we also talked about kind of getting to know the youth first things. Creating time for fellowship. So rather than just focusing on the spiritual, we also got like study sessions, social outings. We said the youth that are traveling or studying abroad, they might have left with their own services, for instance, when they were here. So trying to find other services that we can create, and rather than serving the kids, now this can be an opportunity for them to then serve in those places as well. And then one more thing we thought of was like finding gaps in the service. So finding from the youth what are things that they don't like, and then they can get their ideas and then implement them so that they can enjoy the service as well.
Yeah. So if we're gonna put a list of priorities, then can you put a specific list, like itemized bullet points?
Creating a
See,
schedule first.
So I mentioned here. So create the schedule first.
Create a schedule first. And make sure you have that time blocked off for. the
Your
meeting,
time, okay,
But also planning or other service related activities
nice.
like outreach. And then get to know the kids.
Get to know them. Seems this is something important everyone meant, like you have to know the people you're serving, right?
And then fellowship, so like
Fellowships.
a fellowship among the youth, and then getting them involved in service and getting their feedback about.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, good.
Okay, so for us, we kind of divided up into like three priorities.
Okay,
One would be to develop like a core spiritual service, whether that's like a Bible study or like a liturgical service or that creates like something that would just be like repetitive.
yes,
And then number two would be outreaching the lost sheep. So you know that whether that's us as servants doing outreach to the people we're serving, or like you know doing campus ministries where we're outreaching in campus.
yes,
And then three, which is kind of part of that, is to develop some sort of a spirit of discipleship,
Yes.
where we get the youth to lead parts of the service themselves, and kind of disciple them that way.
very good. There are few things here, I'm gonna read them quickly here over chat. Sarah mentioned prioritization based on importance and urgency. I am highly said, I believe first priority is to pray for wisdom. And if I have a specific responsibility in the service, I should prioritize planning for a second line servants to hand over. So this is delegation, or delegate my service to them before I leave. Very nice. So because she knows it's only 2 years and she's leaving after 2 years, so I have to plan for delegation ahead of time. Get to know them and identify their needs. What I'm good, sorry, this is Sam. Get to know them and identify their needs and what I am good at and can help with. And I can help them with and prioritize it. Have a plan how to implement follow up in communication, hand over and delegation, even it's time to leave. So something here to keep in mind. None of us was born as have like amazing management skills, and we know it all, like none of us. So in service, no matter how much time you planned, real life will hit in, and something that you didn't plan for will come in and pull on a different direction. I think one thing that in the context of church and ministry, prayers is very important for God to give you wisdom, what to do when. Because no matter how we plan, it's also God has a say. So keep this in mind and keep an open, keep open to changes, because changes will happen. Some of us, including myself, unfortunately, because I worked as a project management for as long as I can remember. In the context of church, what really happens when change comes in and I become very rigid, like, hey, we knew about this like months ago, why didn't we plan for that? And the problem is this is again a way for the devil to hurt in. I think the problem, we should keep an open mind and have love as the energy that pushes us forward, because otherwise, when those changes come in, we will become very stressed and very like demoralized. So keep in mind that in the context of church, be open. Like Sample, we were talking about Sample, he's a world-class manager. Hey, I'm going to this. And the Holy Spirit said, no, don't go. Don't go now. And at different times, like he saw visions and revelations, he has to travel and go here. So keep this in mind, like things will change. Be open. It's God's word, it's God's wisdom. He knows things that we don't know, and we have to be open and keep this in mind. Okay. So we put a list of priorities, but I actually didn't say anything about how we actually do time planning. And I said, I think the best way is I brought a video here for someone called Dr. Cal Newport. I'm not sure if you know about him. Cal Newport is like he had PhDs in productivity and all these things. So I'm gonna play this video. Before I play this, because this is his way of how he's doing time planning. It doesn't necessarily be the way that you do time planning. I think the only thing is have priorities and deliver to those priorities. As long as you're delivering, you're doing good time planning for yourself. So time planning is different for different people. I personally do time planning with two things. I have a digital to-do list on my phone. So it's not time bound. It's more of these are things, these are my priorities. I have to do those things. The time planning I'm actually doing is very similar to what Cal Newport is going to mention in the video here, is calendar-based time planning. So I come in and say, okay, I'm gonna do this today. So I block some time in my calendar to do this thing. It's very helpful. If it's not in my calendar, it's not there. So this is what I personally do. I'm gonna play the video and we can chat afterwards. So bear with me, especially people online. I want to make sure you also get audio. Sorry, the computer is frozen.
Like, do you wake up in the morning and make lists and cross things off and then decide what are the key items on that list?
No, I'm a time blocker.
Time blocker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not a big believer in to-do list. I like to grapple with the actual available time. Like, okay, I have a meeting here. I have to like pick my kids up from school here. Here's the actual hours of the day that are free and where they fall. All right, what do I want to do with that time? Well, okay, now that I see that there's a lot of gaps in the middle of the day here, they're short. Maybe there I'm going to do a lot of small, non-cognitively demanding thing. Oh, this first 90 minutes in the morning is like the main time I have uninterrupted. Okay, so this I'm going to work on writing. So I've been a big believer of this since I was an undergrad. Like, you give your time a job.
Are you a list maker? Like, do you wake up in the morning and make lists and cross things off and then decide what are the key items on that list?
No, I'm a time blocker.
Time blocker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not a big believer in to-do list. I like to grapple with the actual available time. Like, okay, I have a meeting here. I have to like pick my kids up from school here. Here's the actual hours of the day that are free and where they fall. All right, what do I want to do with that time? Well, okay, now that I see that there's a lot of gaps in the middle of the day here, they're short. Maybe there I'm going to do a lot of small, non-cognitively demanding thing. Oh, this first 90 minutes in the morning is like the main time I have uninterrupted. Okay, so this I'm going to work on writing. So I've been a big believer of this since I was an undergrad. Like, you give your time a job as opposed to having a list, which is somewhat orthogonal to what's actually happening in your day. And then just as you go through your day saying, what do I want to try to do next, which I think is a lot less efficient.
I'm going to try your method. I try and structure my days as much as I can, but it just never quite works. Do you work late into the night, or no?
No, I'm a 5:30 man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 5:30 p.m., that's it.
Yeah, more or less. That's my cutoff. Now, the one exception is if I'm writing on deadline, I'll sometimes, like if I need to get more writing done, I can do an evening writing session, which I got used to through long experience of. I used to write my blog post at night after like my kids went to bed. Now they're older and they don't go to bed as early. So it's like the one thing I have left that I'll do after 5:30 is like every once in a while I'll do like a 90-minute evening writing block. But I call this, by the way, this whole philosophy, I call fixed schedule productivity. I've been doing it since I was a grad student. Fixed a work hour schedule. That's my commitment. I work in these hours. And then work downstream from that for everything else. So like this controls like even what you decide to bring into your life, because I can't go past a schedule. And it drives you to be more innovative in how you deal with your time and schedule. You have to be efficient because you only have these hours here. That's been, a signal for my life since I was in my early 20s. Fixed a schedule and don't work outside of that schedule. Now it's your move to figure out anything you want to do, you have to make that work. You want to become a professor, figure out how to make that work. You want to write books while you're being a professor, figure out how to make that work. You don't have the option of just throwing hours at it. And you innovate a lot, I think, when you have the constraints.
Where do sleep and exercise fit into your schedule? What's your typical to bed time, wake up time? What's your typical exercise routine? And the reason I ask about this is because I think nowadays hopefully people understand that exercise and cognitive function are inextricably linked.
Yeah.
and we're all going to live longer lives and be sharper mentally by doing exercise.
Yeah. So, I mean, my main, like actual working with weights, I do this pre-dinner, right? And this was an innovation in the last couple of years. It's fantastic psychologically for me. This is a transition from work to like family time after work. So I'll do like 45, 50 minutes, garage gym, that we built during COVID. After I'm done working before dinner. And once you get used to that, like it also forces you to like, I got to finish work because I got to get this in before dinner. But then I'll do also quite a bit of walking if it's not a teaching day, so I'm not on campus. I do a lot of thinking on foot, walking my kids to the bus stop, which isn't particularly close and back. So I'll do a lot of walking. But that's when my serious exercise now is always pre-dinner. Then I want to be up, in our room by 10. Yeah. And then at that point, I don't track. So I have insomnia issues, which actually has been like key driver of a lot of the things I think about, especially with slow productivity, is I'm very wary because I can, without any control on my own, just find myself unable to sleep sometimes.
Fall asleep or stay asleep?
Fall asleep. Yeah. I mean, I used to get it really bad. Not so bad now, but it comes and goes. That really affected the way I thought about productivity. Because it seemed like to me, the definition of just I get after it with a bunch of stuff wasn't really on the table, because if my notion of productivity depended on me like every day being able to just like hammer on a bunch of stuff, I'm very busy, I have lots of commitments, what would happen if I couldn't sleep? I wouldn't be able to do that. So I drifted naturally towards a definition of productivity, which was it doesn't really matter if you work tomorrow, but it is important that like this month you work, like writing a book. It doesn't matter if you work on your book chapter tomorrow in particular, but like this month you have to spend a lot of time working on it. So it was like an insomnia compatible definition of productivity, which sort of morphed into this idea of slow productivity, taking your time with it. So it's interesting. So like sleep issues really shaped the way I thought about work and put me on these much longer time scales of productivity. Try not to be dependent on any particular day being critical to what you do. I don't want the high stress situation. I don't want the I'm just going to 10 hours a day for the next 10 days. We're going to make this deal happen. Like I can't operate in that space because I worry about it anytime my brain could betray me and I could lose sleep for a couple of days.
I think it's really important that you're sharing this, because while people's challenges differ, I think oftentimes people hear the content of my podcast or other podcasts and think, oh, gosh, I have to have everything dialed in just right. When in fact, most all of the tools and protocols that have been discussed on the Huberman Lab podcast are in response to a particular challenge that I've had, or that others close to me have had. And I love this. Well, I'm sorry that you suffer from insomnia. We have a series on sleep with Matt Walker in which he lays out some great tools that we haven't yet discussed on the podcast. I'll just send you, I'll text you, I'll call you with a short list of those, and hopefully they'll help. But as we do cover insomnia in some depth, but I think it's important that people realize that they can be very productive with the hours that they have and the moments or hours of high focus clarity that they have. Even if they're not sleeping great, even if they're raising small children, because that's the real world. And certainly that's the real world of deadlines and academia, but family and colds and flus and travel and jet lag and arguments and all the happy stuff too, vacations. So sounds like you're very good at adapting your day to what's going on around it, but that you have certain sort of committed time. Am I correct in assuming that you have at least one period of, say, 60 to 90 minutes of real, what you would call deep work, let's say at least 5 days a week? I know that might be an underestimate, but it seems like that's what I'm extracting from this.
That's the goal, right? So to me, depending on the season is how extreme that can get. So the busiest season would be like a teaching semester, right? But even then, I'm going to make sure that 5 days a week I'm starting with deep work, and the non-teaching days I'll have more than the teaching days. Compare that to the summer, for example, where like all I do for the most part is deep work, no meetings on Mondays and Fridays. All admin stuff is midday to early afternoon, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Everything else is deep work, just locked in hours at a time. But I want, if I'm not getting 5 days of starting the day with deep work, I'm unhappy. Right. Because I keep coming back to this is because I'm not going to be able to, fortunately the insomnia hasn't bothered me in years, but the thread of it like completely shaped the way I think about things. And because I know I'm never going to be have sort of like an Elon Musk style energy of like I can just take on 7 companies and make it happen, right? I just don't have that ability. I've always focused on the long game, and to me, the long game plays out with get your deep work time in. Just keep working on the stuff you do best and get better at it. Tomorrow doesn't matter, but if you're doing this most days for the next 4 months, like that's going to matter. And so I often think about productivity in my own life at the scale of decades. Like, what do I want to do in my 20s? Okay, what do I want to do in my 30s? What do I want to do in my 40s? And that helps. Like in my 30s, I had a lot of young kids. Like the amount of time I could spend total working is like much less, right? But I could still think about what do I want to do in my 30s? How do I make that happen? Let me make sure I'm pushing like on those things. Then everything else I can adapt to, I can give here and there. It allows you to be very adaptable when you're thinking about what do I want to do, for the next 10 years. It also means you're not on a random Tuesday chiding yourself because like, why didn't I get 3 more hours of work in? That becomes sort of a nonsensical question. And what you care about is like what happens in the next decade, that's the long game. It's not about, hustling today. It's about, I came back to deep work day after day after day when other people got distracted by TikTok, like I gotta, whatever. It's that coming back to what matters again and again.
Thank you for tuning in to the Huberman Lab Clips channel. If you enjoyed the clip that you just viewed, please check out the full-length episode.
All right, so okay, I hope that was helpful. So any takeaways? Oh, okay. All right, any takeaways from this video? Anything that had scored? Yes. I think this is quite important because sometimes we fall to this trap of like I know I have 10 minutes before my next meeting and I start to work on something that will take like 3 hours. So yeah, it might work for some, but keep in mind that there will be interruptions. But yeah. Yeah, let's check some boxes off. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say priorities, mental or effort-based, it's called effort-based planning. Like what is the effort? Sometimes the effort doesn't need to be mental effort. Sometimes it's actually like I'm assembling like a desk. It takes an hour. So I know it's there is some effort of 1 hour and I need to block 1 hour for that. So priorities, effort-based time planning is quite important. There are many tools, and we're going to talk about tools more next time. But in these days, like our phones are so powerful in this stuff. AI is so powerful in these things. AI can really help with these things. Like, hey, I have this kind of stuff. How can help me plan them, kind of thing. And it can say, oh, you have this is in your calendar. Like you can block few things for you. So these are good uses of AI. Yeah, put all this aside. Be always planning for worst case scenarios. I think this is something like Cal Newport mentioned is like, I don't keep things to the last minute because I'm not sure that tomorrow is gonna go as I planned it. So put some cushions, like in project management, they call them cushions, they call them paddings or margins. So put some cushions in your plans. If something is going to take 1 hour, like block 1.5 hours for it, because it's never going to be exactly 1 hour. And if something is very important, try to plan ahead. Like, don't plan it to be done by the deadline. Otherwise, you don't know. Like, any emergency comes in might screw the whole plan. Okay. So we're done with time. So next is going to be financial management. Let's take a few minutes of break. Is it okay? So it's 4:10. Well, 5-10 minutes. What do you feel, everyone? I don't think we would need the whole 3 hours. So it's up to you. We can take the whole 3 hours with breaks, like whatever you. No, I mean it. So whatever you prefer. 5-10 minutes. You're cool. 5 minutes. Okay. So 5 minutes, everyone, and we'll be back 4:50. This kind of tension, but we have to keep few things in mind here. For which of you intending to build a tower doesn't sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it, lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. And this is why financial management is quite important. If we have a goal in mind, and if we want to do something, like we want to go to start this service in Ireland, if we don't do enough and adequate planning ahead of time, we will go there and we run out of money, and then we didn't do anything. Actually, the whole thing that we did so far is sunk cost. So why financial management is important? Money is unfortunately a resource that we use for everything. Money serves us, we don't serve money. So keep this in mind. Like, it's not about we want money. It's like, unfortunately, we have this wrong impression of the church is collecting money. No, the church doesn't collect money. The church is collecting money to spend it on other things for the service, for the people, for the congregation. It's not for the church. So keep this in mind. Even the Lord Jesus Christ, like, kept this in mind. So Jesus himself, he never carried money, never cared about money, but he had a treasurer within his disciples. Yes, unfortunately, he was corrupt, but it's a fact. Like, as a task, as a discipline in management, financial management is important. Okay. Always keep in mind you have to budget, because budgets are required for financial planning, whether it's a ministry, it's a new service, it's just an event, even a small activity. Most of the time it will require budget. Even now, when we prepare like a small youth gathering, like a fellowship night, we need to bring food for them. That's money. So keep in mind, like, even the smallest of the activities, it will require some budgeting. Otherwise, we will fall short. It's always helpful to have budget and some tools for budgeting. Like, in our context as like youth ministry, it's not a major thing. Like, as a church, like, yes, they have treasurers and they care about budgeting because the scope of the treasurer is much bigger than what we're talking about here. We're talking about simple things, like we're preparing for an event. Like, I'm not sure if any of you is serving like mix for the kids in the summer. Like, it's an event. It's 2-3 days event. It's not it's not like a multi-year project. So it requires budgeting, but it doesn't need to be massive thing. Estimate how much income you are getting. So someone mentioned registration, like, this event is going to cost me $2,000. I have 20 kids. 2,000 divided by 20 is, do we know?
100? Okay. But actually, this would be the worst way of budgeting because we didn't add any margins. Like what if the 2,000 became 2,500? Okay, so we're 500 less. And to your best, you have to balance the budget. Things as Google Sheet is good enough. Like have a task list of what the things that will require some budgets, or in the previous session, like when we talked about time management, if you have like a list of activities that you have to do, any of them have any cost associated with it, just put them down. We're gonna, for example, we have to find a place for the service, right? Somebody like Sarah, right? So yeah, okay, so this will require some money. I have to find a place for myself. Yeah, it's not related to the service, but this is money. I have to find fellowship nights. How much is a night would cost me? Am I going to rent a place? So there is a rental fees, or is there a mortgage or whatever? So keep these things in mind. Yes, 99% for most of us, we don't get like with such complex budget planning, but it's something to keep in mind. We're doing a fellowship night. We're gonna buy pizza. How many youth do we have? Like we have 100, 10 pizzas, like $20 a one. So like we need $200. Where are we getting this money from? So this is as simple as that when it comes to budgeting. But keep in mind, it's something we have to keep in mind. And sometimes it starts very small, but it grows with us. For example, like mission trips. We're planning to do mission trips. So mission trips is a major event. We send a bunch of kids to abroad, a country that they don't probably they don't know. We have to prepare for their tickets for travel, accommodation, transportation, food for them. Also, we have to prepare for medication because they are probably in the middle of nowhere. They need medication with them. So all of these are added costs. So you have to prepare for these things. And this is why it's important, because like if I'm sending a mission trip, it's probably going to be like 20, 30K kind of thing. So it's a massive budget. So this is why for things like this, keep in mind that you can do fundraising. And funding is quite important. You can do either, you can collect some money from the youth that they are traveling, or you can also do fundraising, like you can do like dinners or, not sure, have a marketplace, donations, accept donations, grants, and so on. So whenever we see a fundraising event in the church, as much as we can, we try to support them because they are for good causes. Again, whenever we're doing fundraising, money is not the goal. It is just a resource. It's something that helps us get there. And it's basically that's it with financial management. Any questions? Okay. Right. So we set our priorities. We did some time planning. We set financial planning. Now is the time to do planning for actual events. A man's heart plans his ways, but the Lord directs his steps. So keep this in mind. This is what I was talking about. Like, yes, sometimes we have a plan that should go according to my perfectly laid out plan, but things happen, things change. So be open to that. Be open to the Lord directing you. So planning helps us make our purpose clear. It's why we're doing something, when, how. This is the whole thing about planning. Again, we are doing a mission trip to Kenya. Like why we're doing that and how we're doing that. Like, are we just going to open it for registration and people would register, or are we going to pick some youth and send them out there, or how it's going to be done? It's all about the purpose. Like, why are we doing a mission trip in the first place? Like, what is the goal? Is the goal to serve the people there? Or is the goal to serve our actual youth here by sending them there? Like, what is the purpose? Sometimes we might have multiple purposes, like it's both of them. Like we want to serve the people there, but at the same time, teach our youth something in the process. So if we know why we're doing something, it will help us decide how we are doing it. For example, if our goal is to teach specific youth something, then we have to pick them and send them. Like we cannot open it for registration. Otherwise, people will register and they will tell them, oh no, we're gonna pick those people. So it's not the case, but I'm just giving you an example. Like this is how, like if you know exactly why you're doing something, it will be very helpful to know, okay, when and how we're doing it. And planning is usually like, again, like we know the priorities and we know what we're gonna do and why we're doing that. And how much is going to cost us. Now it's as easy as to build a schedule for that. Like we're gonna do this now. Like we have 2 years of service in Ireland. Once I arrive, it's not a lot of time, but I have to establish a service. So I have to keep in mind, okay, once I arrive, I have a month to do this and a month to do that. And I have to plan by the end of the 2 years to do like a handover. Who's gonna take over the service once I leave? Like this kind of things we have to keep in mind. Also, good thing about planning is when we plan, it's very helpful it helps us spread the workload. Like if we know ahead of time that to send this mission trip to Kenya, like we have to buy food, for example, or we have to buy food that we take with us, or I know some mission trips, Grenada, for example, like they send people to Grenada and they have those big, giant blue boxes that they fill with food and like donation and send them ahead. So who's gonna buy those big boxes? Where are we getting the food from? Where we're getting the medications from? Who's doing that? So if we do planning ahead and we know exactly what needs to be done and when, then we can spread this workload across all the people who are part of this service. Like Bishoy is going to do something and Sarah is going to do something and Ayman is going to do something, and then we spread this workload across people. Also, if we're doing planning, it gives us also a fresh look at things. Like last year, we did the Grenada trip, and we did it this way. But now I have time before my next trip. Let's look back. Let's take the lessons learned from last year, and let's put them and bring them as a fresh perspective. Should we do something differently? Like last year, we got the food from here. Maybe it wasn't the best idea. Maybe we should buy the food from Grenada. Like, again, planning ahead gives us the opportunity to change how we're doing things. And we do it in a fresh and new way. And instead of last minute planning, we're just gonna do it similar. We do it every year and the year after and the year after and so on. Because it's always last minute. We don't give ourselves the chance to learn from previous years. Okay, the planning process. The planning process is very easy. This is what you find in your textbook. State the goal, find the key tasks, confirm the budget, add some contingencies, which what we talked about, like have some padding or buffers. because there's something that you plan to take $2,000 is going to be $2,500. So keep this in mind. Define the outcome allocation. Again, responsibilities is about splitting the workload and just build the schedule. I'm going to keep this here because next you have to create a plan. So we have now we have 3 groups of 2, and we have people online. So group 1, you have youth mix in the summer. You have to prepare a plan for it. Do you know youth mix? Okay, so you're gonna do youth mix. You have a fundraising dinner, prepare for it. Show and Joy, you have a 3-day servants retreat for your youth servants, prepare for it. People online, you have a summer camp. Summer camp across the whole summer. So 2 months of summer camp worth of planning. Go ahead. If you have any questions, I'm here. So I would like everyone to present their works. So one thing we can do, I can take snapshots and present them, like camera, or it's no? Okay. Who's going to start? Thank you. Who's going to start? Sarah, okay.
This is funny.
Sarah, you have nice
Handwriting.
handwritings. We can share them, right?
That's really okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, please. You have my number? It's on the, or you can airdrop it on my, let me, Sarah, go ahead. We'll
Okay.
figure it out the,
Okay, so we had organized mix. So the goals of this event, like the overarching goal, is for the kids to learn something hopefully new spiritually, but also for them to develop teamwork and have fun.
Yep.
And then for the key tasks that we were doing was to
I'm going to interrupt you if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So the thing I like here is you started with, these are our priorities. So the whole schedule and plan is based on, we are going to take some kids and our goal is to teach them something spiritual and at the same time teach them teamwork. Because based on that, all the activities will be built. Like, are we going to do sports that are like solos, or are we going to do sports that are team sports? Because we need to teach them teamwork, so we have to choose sports that are teamwork more than solos. So this is how you should start anything. If you have clear priority and outcome, this is what we need to do, then things will progress much simpler and make the decision-making process much easier. Thanks. Sorry, Sarah. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Okay, so for the key tasks, we had like kind of, it's like a running list. So like preparing the spiritual content and actually distributing it to the kids, planning the games and the cost of the games, organizing transportation, the prizes, actually scheduling the whole trip, like what are they going to do day to day, confirming the number of kids and like the budget for that, like what are the accommodations like, how many people per room, and then organizing food. I know they print t-shirts, and then also figuring out like an actual tournament schedule with the number of kids that we end up having, or like number of teams that we end up having. So those would be like the key tasks. For like the contingencies, we kind of assume that every year they would register like the valley for like the next year. So that is not a risk because we get it early enough.
That's good.
But maybe not enough food or not enough water. So to plan to get more.
But we are Egyptian. We always do much food. Like I know it. I know it. Like,
Yeah. And then kind of try to plan for like either less kids than we expect or more kids than we expect.
Okay.
And organize around that.
Yep.
So then the outcomes that we wanted to achieve was like a fully planned 3-day trip. So 1 for spiritual and 2 for like tournament games.
Yep.
That, and then also organize like the prizes.
Mhm.
That would be like kind of the main steps of the event. And then the responsibilities, they would end up being divided amongst whoever else is serving in this trip. So it would be like someone is designing the games. Someone is going to have to go set up the games early. Someone is going to have to buy food and water. Someone is going to have to actually design the spiritual content and spread it like preemptively so they can study it. And someone has to actually mark and keep track of the points in the tournament. So
What
then,
about if any of those got sick and couldn't go?
well, there's going to be back.
Okay, so
Oh.
that's a contingency to keep in mind. We should have backups
Mm.
for people who are, especially the more like of a critical of a responsibility is, the more important the backup is.
Okay. And then for the schedule, oh, okay. So we kind of operated under the assumption that you would have 1 year between when the last mix finished and the next mix happened to kind of organize that.
Very
So the first thing would get booked because you know it's going to happen. So you would book the valley. And then maybe like 2.5 months before you start registration and 2 months before you want to release the spiritual stuff so that everybody has like has time to study to learn it. And then with registration, you would start getting like the number of kids, how much that like the price and everything. And then you would start organizing the teams, the activities, and like during that period, design the games, how much they cost, like, or like have an idea before and then actually go buy the stuff.
Yeah.
But like this was a very rough. We didn't really get into a lot of details on this part yet.
No, that's fair. It was 10 minutes also, so that's fair. Yeah,
So that's my
that's very good. So again, outcomes and priorities are very important whenever we're planning for anything, and it's good to have this discussion with the other servants or your leader in the service. Like, okay, why are we doing mix this year? Why we're doing mix every year? Like, is there
is we need to raise funds for example, the Kenya mission trip.
okay?
And the spiritual goal is for the participants, the guests, the youth to learn the spirit of giving. And that can also be reflected in the theme of the dinner.
Very nice.
The second thing, some key tasks to get done. So first is create a servant team and delegate. But the specific tasks that we are going to delegate include booking a venue, setting the menu, ordering food, planning a schedule for the dinner, and then advertising both in person and over social media. And in terms of for the budget, so we'll get a quote for each item, so each expense like the venue, the food, whatever, and then that will be all our expenses added together, and that will allow us to create a ticket cost that's reasonable. And then
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
I think something important here is also try to get quotes from multiple vendors So maybe a venue is cheap, but the food there is so expensive. So the overall cost will be more expensive than doing it here, for example, in Trinity Hall. So always keep in mind to get, like, if for things that you can have the option to choose from multiple vendors, get different quotations and decide accordingly.
Makes sense, yeah. In terms of contingencies, a few contingencies we have is like accounting for food preferences and allergies. Like
Very good.
we gave the example of like having both chicken and beef available. Having a backup for the actual program of the fundraising dinner night. So for example, if we have a speaker but they like have a family emergency last minute, do we have a backup for
Yes.
for that?
Very nice.
And then if we don't reach our fundraising target, we were thinking of having the rest of the funds come from donations from
Yes.
servants or attendees of the dinner.
How would you advertise for those donations?
I think part of like the social media campaign that we do could have that.
One thing I have seen in some events is they advertise for those donations in the dinner itself. So yeah, I will go to the dinner. We will all go to the dinner, but our families, they didn't have a chance to. So maybe we take like a nice barcode with us, like a handouts that I can give to my family members and they can donate themselves. So yeah, I'm sorry for, I don't mean to interrupt, but I mean, those are, I keep always open mind with, okay. Also, yeah, keep an open mind of your options. But the other thing is sometimes we say, okay, we're going to do something, but we don't plan for it. Like we're going to do donations if we didn't reach the fundraiser, but okay, how are we going to correct those donations? How are we going to advertise for those donations? So again, if always ask the question of when, why, and how. How we're going to do everything is the key to good planning, because if you didn't ask the questions, then you didn't plan for it, basically.
Yeah, for sure. We're defining an outcome, I guess. Like our outcome was kind of stated in the goals, which was to raise a X number amount of funds for the mission trip. We didn't go too much into depth about the outcome, but definitely we would want to make sure that we have specifics for what we want to accomplish throughout the night too, from a spiritual program perspective. And then for allocating responsibilities, we gather a team of servants, we create a group chat, have a meeting at the beginnings to set responsibilities, and also have like regular like check-in meeting. And finally, for this schedule and duration, we think at least like 3 to 4 months would be good to plan the dinner. And then the sequence of events is, I think we need to like book the venue before advertising for sure. And then also make sure speakers are available or servants are available for the night. And then the food may come after setting the venue. Yeah, and then, yeah, I think the main thing is having the details of the night sorted before we advertise.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Very nice. Thank you so much. Keep in mind, whenever you are booking speakers, sometimes 4 months is not enough. Sometimes you need to give them like 6 or 7 months ahead. Yeah, I think this was very good. There's a theme here with both of you. Like, it might be, or this is my my perception. Seems like you did something similar before, because you had like you already planned for things that are very detailed, like food allergies, and you like something with the like with the valley itself being available. What I'm trying to say is always refer to who did it in the past, who did something similar in the past, because this is going to help you a lot. In business, like in companies, like enterprises, they usually have what they call like a body of knowledge of previous projects, and people would refer, oh, we did a similar project, so we're going to do it much faster if we refer to the schedule of the past. So it's always good to refer to people who had previous experience with this exact event, like whoever planned MEX last year is gonna tag along with you, or whoever planned any fundraising event in the past might be helpful. Not this specific fundraising, but like keep this in mind. Like whoever did the same exact thing is the best option. The second best is someone who did something similar.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. No, thank you. Let me. Okay. I hope it's big enough for everyone. Go ahead, Bishop.
Yeah, sorry. So my notes are just pretty jumbled up, but basically we started with just like who, what, where, when, why. For us, we thought the why would be very similar to what the theme of the servants retreat would be. So we our why is to deepen the relationship among the servants, and to also deepen their relationships with Christ. And so the theme is kind of just being ministers of fire. And so based off of this, we wanted to have like 3 days, 3 different speakers, and then like each day is going to kind of be like a different topic, and then we're going to have like 1 session per day, and after that we'll have some sort of element of quiet time, and then a group discussion / workshop, and then obviously with activities and stuff like that, and like liturgies and midnight praises. So we kind of worked starting with the schedule of just kind of like the meat of what we want to do, and then we work backwards of like, okay, how are we going to make it happen? So back to the who, what, where, when, why. Where are we going to do it? What what venues are out there? It's overnight, so maybe something like the Valley, maybe something like hotels like Muskoka or Niagara Falls or something like that. And then what else? And then when we said if it's going to be something like 3 days, then maybe if we want to, if let's say our service is a Friday night type of service, then maybe we need to do a long weekend. So like a Saturday, Sunday, Monday kind of thing. And then so from there we would kind of just divide up all the responsibilities. Okay, like we need someone to, like, first of all, we need to firm up the venue, and then firm up the speakers first, like before anything. And then once we have that done, then we could start working on, like, get someone to work on the poster or flyer and start making the announcements. And then we get signups, and then from there we could start working on like the food, the transportation, and then designing like the actual content of the pamphlets or things like that. Yeah, and I think that's a very rough idea of what it is. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, I think more or less the same. Like if you have the goal, you know the outcomes, much easier to do the planning. Yeah, I think that's good. Let's see people online if anyone shared anything. All right. Oh, they shared that there is no voice. Not sure if this is still the case. Okay, thank you, Sam. Okay, now it's working. All right. Yeah. We have one last topic, which is delegation. It's a short one. Can take 5 minutes water break, or we can continue. Up to you, your call. I think we need like another 15 minutes. So we can take a 5 minutes break. Would that be good?
We can keep going.
Continue. Okay. All right. Okay. Delegation. Do we know what a delegation is? Okay, assign someone to do something. Very nice. We have a good example in the book of Exodus. So Moses' father-in-law said to him, "The thing that you do is not good." And do we remember what was the thing is? Yes. Yes, he was taking on the full responsibility of being the judge for everyone. So that was too much for him. But it was not good for two things. First is it's a single point of failure, like he was the only one doing that. So that's the other thing is actually there are three things. The other thing is he didn't give a chance for others to learn how to help with this in the future, because he's not God. He's not gonna outlive all the people. Like at some point, he needs a replacement. The third is there are other important things that Moses himself should be doing other than doing that. So this is the whole thing about delegation. It's not good to be the only one doing something. You need to create a second generation of people doing this thing. And the third is there are other important things that you might be doing that because you're taking on the full responsibility of something you're not doing. So Moses' father-in-law said to him, "The thing that you do is not good. Both you and these people who are with you will surely wear yourselves out, for this thing is too much for you. You are not able to perform it by yourself." All right. So why delegation is important? Multiplication, because there are more people doing the same thing. So this is one thing. Endurance. If I can run 1 mile, 2 people can run probably 2 miles or even more. And loneliness. If I'm running 1 mile alone, I might run 2 miles if I have someone tagging along. So this is something. Last, the replacement, which we just talked about. Replacement is very important. Sometimes we forget about it, especially in the context of church. Like we forget about that. We need continuity. So this is very important. Delegation in youth ministry. So we know the delegation of assigning someone to do something, but in youth ministry, it's also good to delegate to the youth. So let's talk about that a little bit. It's good to delegate to the youth when the delegate is the person who you delegate to. When they feel they are part of the
sharing screen.
I'm so sorry about that.
That's good.
So this is quickly the slides that we were going through. Importance of delegation, multiplication, endurance, loneliness, and replacement. We started here. So delegation in youth ministry. It's important to delegate to your youth. So if you're serving with youth of like they are almost 20 years or something, so they are adults, you can delegate things to them. And even if they are younger, it's going to delegate to them early on because it will help them learn the concepts or the feeling of serving inside the body of Christ, inside the church, as part of a church. They also feel that they are part of a bigger thing. They feel I'm not sure. They start to feel the beauty of serving, and once they feel the blessing, the grace of God, I think it's giving them this opportunity. So don't be overprotective of like, I have to be the one doing everything. No, it's good to let them do something. Also, delegation helps in building these relationships. Like if you are delegating something to one of the youth, you have to spend more time with this person, telling them what to do, how to do it, like teaching them the concepts of, okay, why we're doing this thing, the why, the when, the how. If you're teaching them these things, you have to spend more time with them. You will build this person relationship. And once you build this relationship, it will allow you to see inside this person, and now it becomes other avenue for you to serve this person. So delegation will give you a chance to serve them in a different way. That mentioned it's important to have a policy for delegation. Like you cannot delegate everything to everyone. Maybe there is you have a topic like a theology kind of topic that someone is giving. You can delegate this to one of the youth too, because there's a dogma that has to be. We have to make sure that it's like it's correct and it's not corrupt. So it has to be a specific person doing this. With time, we can delegate, like when we find people who have this sense of ability to understand the dogma and they can deliver the same. Yes, we can delegate, but we have to have a policy, like something simpler, like we cannot delegate the youth, for example, to drive other youth with them to Muskoka. Maybe our policy is not let the youth drive their cars. We have to take them in a bus or something. Or it has to be a servant. Like it's a policy. Like what to do is very important. It's just not delegate. Everything is delegated to the youth because it's good. No, it's not like that. It's good to give them the opportunity to serve with you, but you shouldn't delegate everything like blindly. Okay. When you delegate, as part of the policy is, why are you delegating to the youth? Like, again, the things we talked about, like building relationships, building them. It's not to work less. It's not like, hey, I have two things, I'm going to delegate one of them to the youth, and now I have just one. No, it shouldn't be like that. You have to have a reason behind the delegation. It's not just to work less. And that was it for us today. So again, quickly, we talked about time management, how to block time for important things and deliverables. We talked about financial management, budgeting, fundraising, planning, and we did planning for different events. And finally, the importance of delegation and how to delegate. And it's part of planning, as you all mentioned, like I'm gonna delegate some of the tasks to the other servants with me. And yeah, any questions for me? All right, I hope that wasn't too bad. Next week, we're gonna continue with the other 4 body of knowledge or traits for leadership. Then the following week, you will have a session with Phoebe, and then during the March break, it's off for 2 weeks, and then Phoebe is gonna do the last one, I think March 29th. All right. Thank you so much. And thanks for people online. And see you next week. If you have any questions, you can ask them now or over chat. Thank you. Thank you so much.